Okay, then I think we're going to get started. It's 5:02. We'll be together for around an hour approximately. So welcome all. I'll just sort of launch the webinar before passing the floor to our speakers. Welcome all. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm Adriana Salazar, Program Officer for Water and the SDGs at the French Water Partnership. I'm very glad to welcome you all to today's World Water Week session, during which we'll be presenting the quite newly created ICIReWaRD Montpellier, a water-related Category 2 center under the auspices of UNESCO, or in full, the International Center for Interdisciplinary Research on Water Systems Dynamics, hosted by the University of Montpellier. I'd like to first of all thank and welcome our speakers today. We have with us, of course, Mr. Eric Servat, who is Director of the UNESCO International Center, ICIReWaRD Montpellier, Mr. François Pierrot, who is Vice President of the University of Montpellier and Executive Director of the Muse Montpellier University of Excellence project. Of course, Mr. Abou Amani, who is Director of the Division of Water Sciences of UNESCO and Secretary of the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program of UNESCO. And finally, Ms. Marie-Laure Vercambre, who is the Director General of the French Water Partnership. It's a real privilege to have you today. So we'll kick off our session with a round of very brief welcoming remarks, followed by a look, of course, at the center, more in depth at its key initiatives and its role, of course, in the context of the UNESCO water family and UNESCO IHP's network of water-related Category 2 centers. And we'll close the session with a Q&A. So I'd like to encourage you all, our participants who are with us today, to keep the Pathable window or the Pathable tab of our session open, because that's the chat that we'll be using. So that you'll see that the chat on Zoom is inactive. You won't be able to use it. So please don't hesitate throughout the session to start logging in your questions, and we'll get to that during the Q&A portion of the webinar. Finally, we'll be mindful of timekeeping, as I mentioned, because we'll be together until 6. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor to Mr. Eric Servat just to welcome us all today. So Mr. Servat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Adriana. I will have plenty of time later on to present the center and some initiatives of the center, so I won't be very long. I'm Eric Servat. I'm Director of Research at the Institute of Research for Development and the University of Montpellier. And I'm very happy to be in this session today and very proud to show you the new center created in last February. And you see that we have many projects. So I won't be long. I will stop here and give the floor to another of my colleagues.
Thank you, Eric. Perfect. So, Mr. Pierrot, you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you for welcoming us. Thank you for preparing this webinar. In 2016, the University of Montpellier and 15 partner institutions, that is research organizations, engineering schools, hospitals, sought to design a program where they pool their strengths in order to jointly create a new research university in Montpellier. This led to the Muse project, that's what we call the Muse project, which was at that time endowed by the French state with a fund of more or less 550 million euros. The aim of the Muse project was to create in Montpellier a new university, but with a specific identity. We wanted to integrate its partner into a renewed organization in order to deploy a common approach with a view to international recognition, particularly around 3 global challenges: food security, respect for the environment, and improved human health. A second key element of this specific identity was to establish fruitful collaborations with a selected set of international partners based on a balanced vision between the north and the south of the planet. At the intersection of the 3 key issues, feed, protect, and care, to say them quickly, and with challenges for both southern and northern countries, it quickly became clear that for us there is a sector where we should focus on: water sciences. And it seemed to us reasonable to tackle these issues given our resources. Indeed, with nearly 400 scientists from 15 research laboratories and more than 150 doctoral students, the Montpellier water science community constitute the largest organized community in France in the field of water sciences. We therefore decided to launch our work on 3 fronts. First of all, to finance, thanks to the MUSE project, research and training activities in an international environment and with attention paid to relations with the economic world. Second, to launch a real estate program that will be able to accommodate most of the water science research teams within 2 years on one single dedicated site. And third, and that's why we're here today, suggest that UNESCO bodies study the possible recognition of the Montpellier community. And we give all those challenges to Eric Servat to work with. Thus, it has been a great pleasure for us and a great honor for the university and all the community when in 2019, the General Conference of Member States of UNESCO approved the creation in Montpellier of the International Center dedicated to water, ICIReWaRD. This is a major recognition for our water science community, of course, but it goes beyond. It highlights the whole MUSE project. ICIReWaRD aims to position itself at the best international level through diversity of research teams, promotion of training, and of course, through international networks in both North and South region. ICIReWaRD will be, of course, a proud member of the so-called UNESCO water family, but it will be a strategic tool for us in order to achieve our long-term ambition to make Montpellier, thanks to its university and its ecosystem, one of the European capitals of agro-environment, health and well-being, and a portal for scientific issues concerning the countries of the South. So thanks again to UNESCO and to the fact that you welcome our proposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pirot, for these important, I think, elements of context. And I'm going to pass the floor straight away to Mr. Abu Amani. So please, Mr. Amani, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adriana. I'll be very brief because I'll have time to present in more details what is the UNESCO Water Family later on. But my few words concern really to say that we are very pleased to have ICIReWaRD as part of the UNESCO Water Family, and the center became the UNESCO Water Family since the date of the signature of the tripartite agreement, which was on 15 October 2020. So since then, we have been engaging with the center already to move forward some of the initiatives. The center is currently hosting one of the oldest IHP cross-cutting initiative, which we call FRIEND. I know that Eric will come back on that, but I want to really to congratulate and also to thank all the water colleagues within the area of Montpellier, because this is a unique center, because we are expecting a lot of from this center to fill a lot of gap, particularly partnership, South-South partnership, North-South, and essentially with some of the Francophone countries. We realize that this is a missing link, and we are expecting the center to fill that gap. So let me stop here. During my presentation I prepare, I will come back more on details on what are we expecting from the center vis-a-vis the IHP program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amani. And as you mentioned, we'll hear more from you during your presentation. So I will finally pass the floor to Marie-Laure Vercamp, Director General of the French Water Partnership, who will also welcome us today. So please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good morning to some, and welcome all. I am Marie-Laure Vercamp, the Director General of the French Water Partnership, multi-stakeholder platform bringing together approximately 200 public and private French water actors active at the international level. Our members work together across 4 areas: water and the SDGs, water and climate change, fragile wash in crisis and fragility contexts. We're very proud to join IHP today in presenting the center and its key initiatives to the international community. The creation of ICIReWaRD constitutes a major recognition of the well-established water sciences community of the city of Montpellier and of Montpellier's Institute on Water and the Environment. It also constitutes a major recognition for the French water sciences community in a larger sense, and an excellent lever for France's water sciences expertise at the international level. As an internationally minded water sciences hub, ICIReWaRD will also play an important role in building and strengthening South-South and North-South partnerships through water sciences, interdisciplinary research, higher education, and capacity building. We hope that you will not only discover or learn more about the center, but that today's exchanges might spark future opportunities for collaboration. As a member of the French Water Partnership, we greatly look forward to continuing to support ICIReWaRD's interdisciplinary approach to achieving the SDG water-related targets and to addressing the climate crisis through the prism of water. Water cuts across all SDGs, and the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation are central to the achievement of the 2030 Agenda. Water is, for instance, crucial to the advancements of human rights, education, work, as well as for food security, reducing poverty and inequality, tackling climate change, and enabling peace, justice, and sustainability. Yet, despite the vital importance of water for all aspects of life on Earth, the world is severely off track to achieve SDG 6. In this context, science, interdisciplinary research, education, capacity building, and strong partnerships and cooperation are key. I look forward to today's discussions.
Thank you very much, Marie-Laure, for giving us even a little bit more context. So now we've covered this first round of welcoming remarks, introductions, so we're going to jump straight ahead to the meat of the session. So I'm going to pass the floor to Mr. Servat, who's going to give us now a bit more of an overview, really in detail on the center, its history, what are the main initiatives. Although we'll go into more detail into that during the third presentation that we have foreseen for you today. So I'm going to share my screen, and Eric, you will let me know if you can see these slides. There we go. And please, you have the floor.
It's okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, this is only the opening slides. We will move to the next one immediately. Okay, here are a few points I would like to underscore. The fact is that we are facing unprecedented challenges around water, and we have multiple water issues in a very complex context. The period is characterized by unprecedented changes and risks, and so there is really a major challenge for the future of humanity, as humanity is currently faced with many changes, considerable changes in its lifestyles and consumption patterns, very strong demographic growth, and a very strong urbanization. And this is probably one of the main points we have to deal with during the next decades. And we know, and we have recent examples of situations of political, social, or economic instability. So the world today is very vulnerable in a very deep evolution. And so there are many impacts of climate change that come in addition to this situation. We have therefore crucial issues related to the management, the exploitation, the preservation, and the distribution of water resources. These issues are dealing with environmental issues, food issues, health, societal, economic and financial, and geopolitical. So next, please. These issues make the question of water, and this is very important, make the question of water one of the central elements of the great structuring trends of our society. In fact, when we are talking about water resources, water access, we are talking about democracy, sustainable development, poverty and the fight against poverty, reflections on global public goods and their use. And all these trends and all these issues, well, the UNESCO ICIReWaRD Center has the ambition to contribute to the debates and actions on these water-related issues. Next, please. Like François Pirot said before, the UNESCO Center, ICIReWaRD, is a unique structure in France, bringing together multidisciplinary skills with about 400 scientists and 150 PhD students, covering all areas of expertise in water sciences. This is a very important point, as probably one of the main points of ICIReWaRD is its ability to address the water-related issues regarding the interdisciplinarity way. 17 research laboratories are now taking part in the action of the center. Maybe you have here the list, maybe you know some of them, or you are maybe working with some of them. And we have several universities and all the national research organisms working in the field of water resources that are all behind the center and supporting the center. This is important as we probably need to be very complete and very strong together. So we are very happy to welcome in this center all the university of our part of the south of France and all these research organisms. Next, please. Of course, the center is a part of a global context, and the main important for us, we are a UNESCO center with the Sustainable Development Goals, and we are, of course, very much concerned by the goal number 6, which is the clean water and sanitation. But we have, for instance, interactions with the following goals, but we could probably have listed more other goals, but these ones are really very much in interaction with water. We also have, in this global context, a very strong link with the IHP, the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program. The 6 thematic areas of the phase 8 of IHP were the ones we addressed when we submitted our project of the International Center here in Montpellier. I know that it will be a bit different during the phase 9 of the IHP program, but anyway, as you can see, these 6 areas, research areas, are very important, and maybe under another form, they will appear nevertheless in the next phase of IHP. So we are here very much in interaction with IHP and with these priorities, which are very, very important for all the research regarding water and for the humanity facing issues regarding water access and hydrological risks. Next, please. So we have, in the center, we have research activities, and they are all an illustration of Montpellier's major asset, which is the multi and interdisciplinarity. We have 17 laboratories. They allow us to have these interdisciplinarity approaches, as we have researchers with very different profiles in the laboratories. And so we are able to put together hydrologists, geochemists, biologists, but also economists, politicists. So we are able to have all the people dealing with water resources around the table when we have to work on some of the very important water issues. I won't go into the list that you have here, but as you can see, it's very exhaustive. We are starting from elementary process and going to socio-hydrological dynamics, taking into account also the large-scale hydrosystem processes, which means water resources and exploration of the water resources, but also new approaches to gathering measurements and information, and all the points, all the issues regarding public policy and decision-making, which is so important for the well-being of the populations. And so this is what is driving the research activities of the UNESCO Center ICIReWaRD. Next, please. We also have training activities. We are located at the University of Montpellier. We are a part of the project François Pirot was saying a few words before, which is the MUSE project, the Montpellier University of Excellence project. And so we have a large part of our activities, which are training activities. First of all, of course, promoting the existing training courses, the master's degree in water, the courses within the several engineering schools located here in Montpellier. We also have specialized masters for postgraduate students. We have a lot of partnerships, and we have created specific degrees with institutions in the north and in the south. For instance, you have here two of the degrees we are working on with the partnerships in the south, mainly the digital expertise for the protection of population and environments in southern megacities. This one is carried out by the University of Montpellier, but in collaboration with 3 universities in Côte d'Ivoire, and it will start next September, so only in a few days. And we are also working with other European universities within the framework of the CHARM EU project, which is an Erasmus Plus project for the construction of a European university with the aim to set up a European master's degree dedicated to sustainable development, and including the area of water. But we are also a part of the UNESCO Water family, and so we started to work with some chairs, for instance, the 2 located in Western Africa, and working on the question of water and women. This is very important, and we plan to have more interactions with chairs in this research direction and in this training direction too. We also work with another chair located in Montpellier, developing membrane technologies for sustainable development. So we have an important training activity, and we plan to develop this activity very much in the coming years. Next, please. I will be short. A major asset for us, as we are concerned, and Abu Amani said it before, is to work with our partners in the South countries. We can rely on a long-standing, solid and structured partnership with the South. Many of us are from IRD and CIRAD, which are French public organisms working in the South countries. So we have there a very strong network that work and improve the research and the training about water. Next, please. We have 5-year objectives. I will be sure to get international recognition as a UNESCO Center of Excellence located here in Montpellier, France. We are the only one in France dealing with water. We want to develop globally recognized expertise, research and training in water, governance, science, and technology. So we are working, we have laboratories very much involved in water technology. And of course, we want to become a key partner for the regions most vulnerable to water problems due to what I was saying at the beginning, rapid urbanization, population pressure, and of course the expected effects of climate change. Yes, next, okay. You have here our implementation methodology. I won't go in details through this slide, but I would just want to put the stress on a few words, which are interdisciplinary research, international partnerships, and I would say with our South country, with the South countries, but not only, of course. A very big effort on training, our ability to strengthen the research capacities of our partnerships in southern countries, and of course we would like to develop and strengthen our position into the water family, in being able to welcome scientists and students from the UNESCO, from other UNESCO water centers or chairs. And I think that this network is very important, and we will, of course, make big efforts in this direction. Next, please. Just, okay, I will have the opportunity to say a few words about this event later on in my second presentation, so I will go out, and I think this is over for this first presentation. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you very much, Eric. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so we can proceed, and thank you very much for this first in-depth look at the center, and as mentioned, we'll still go through this journey with Abu and once more with Eric as the third sort of closing presentation of the session. So I'm just going to get Mr. Amani's presentation up on the screen. Just give me a couple of seconds. Up, close Mr. Silva. And I'm going to get Mr. Amani's presentation. Okay. So, Mr. Amani, you will let me know when you can see my screen. I think we should be good to go.
Yeah, we can start. Yeah, thank you, Adriana. And also, once again, good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. So my presentation will focus more on the UNESCO water family and the related network of water centers. Next slide. But before that, I want to put it within the context. The family of UNESCO water family was established within the framework of the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, as you know, which is a program put in place by member state of UNESCO just after the International Hydrological Decade, almost 45, 55 years ago now. So the program evolved. Initially, it was entirely a theoretical hydrological program, and then it moved to through successive phases by integrating the social dimension, environmental dimension, and now it's a truly holistic program, considering an integrated approach, because we know that the issue related to water are not only technical engineering issue, they are much more complex than that. This is why the program is really a holistic, taking an holistic approach when it's come to its intervention. Next slide. So this is the summary of the UNESCO water family. So the UNESCO water family comprises first the National IHP Committee. As you know, the program IHP is an intergovernmental program. So normally each member state is entitled to put in place a national IHP committee to take advantage of the program for its implementation. We have 169 national IHP committees now. In addition to the national IHP committees, we have what you call the UNESCO centers. ICIReWaRD is one of the centers which is part of 35 other centers which are worldwide. And then we have also the UNESCO Water Chairs. The UNESCO Water Chairs within universities, we have 66 of them. And then also we have the World Water Assessment Program. Even though it's entirely dedicated to produce the World Water Development Report on behalf of UN Water, it's the UNESCO program, and we are working closely together to provide the necessary knowledge for decision making on water. In addition to that, we have also what we call the UNESCO initiatives, which are launched to support the implementation of IHP strategic plan. We have 18 of those initiatives. So now what I will do, I will go quickly on some of those elements, but we'll focus on the centers. Next slide. Now, vis-a-vis the centers, what we are expecting for each center are three many things vis-a-vis the contribution to the IHP program. The first is the generation of knowledge. So the center should provide knowledge, do research, authoritative research, and then that research should not stay only among the scientists. That research should be used to take decision to solve water problems. That is really the most important, an important aspect we should consider. The third one is each center should have activities on building capacity at a human and institutional level. Next slide. Now, in addition to the contribution to the hydrological program, we expect some engagement for each center. 3 engagement. The first engagement is to ensure that the program of the center are aligned to the objective of UNESCO and the issue of IHP. This is very important. The second one also is that the center should contribute to raise the visibility, of course, of the center, but overall of the UNESCO Water Program. And third, that's also one of the key elements, is to maximize the synergy among the family. Next slide. This slide is giving more detail of the third part, maximizing the synergy among the family. Networking and cooperation is very essential for us because we believe that the centers are authoritative centers, the chairs are there, we have also the initiatives, so all those should work together to maximize the improvement of knowledge, the building of the capacity, and also to make use of knowledge for decision making when it comes to water. Water should be evidence-based informed when it comes to the decisions. And this really is the point I want to emphasize on this. And I'm very confident with the initiative already within ICIReWaRD already hosting one of the initiative, as I said, friend initiatives, and also all the what I saw in terms of capacity development. And now I think the center should look at partnership with other centers. He has already initiated something with some chairs. That's something which is really commendable, and the center should continue doing that. Next slide. Now, if you look at the different centers, we have variety of thematic within the centers. We have each center has its dedicated thematic issue. Some centers are global centers on hydrological cycle. Some centers are specific on urban hydrology. Some are on water law, water cooperation. Others on eco-hydrology, groundwater, water hazard, cultural heritage, semi-arid areas. So all those centers and chairs are really covering almost all the aspects related to water when it's come to the science. Next slide. So the second element of the family are the initiative. And we believe that the centers should work together with the initiatives. And our strategy is that each initiative should be hosted by a center. And thank you, as I said, the Friend initiative is hosted by the center ICIReWaRD, and we're very happy for that. And that's also what we are promoting, is that all the centers to be in relationship with the other centers. Next slide. As you know, also within the UN system, UNESCO and UNDESA are now in charge of the capacity development component of the SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework. As we all know, SDG achievement implementation is completely off track. So in that regard, the UN launched what we call the Global Accelerator Framework for SDG 6, which has 5 pillars. And one of the pillars is on capacity development. UNESCO is now in charge with UNDESA, and we are counting on the UNESCO Water family to work with us so that we can contribute meaningfully in building capacity at country level, human resources level, and also institutional level. So this is really a call, and maybe we can have discussion later on with Eric on how the center could contribute to this initiative. Next slide. So as you know, as I said, all those centers are contributing to achieve the implementation of IHP. And as you know, IHP is implemented through phases. Currently, we're ending the 8th phase, which is on water security. And that's what thematic issues shared by Eric, and also those are the one considered during the preparation of the center. Now, we have a new strategic plan for IHP 9. Next slide. So this is my last slide, but I want to emphasize on this last slide. We have a news document now, what you call the Strategic Action Plan for IHP 9. We move from the thematic approach to a more holistic, integrated thematic presentation of the strategy. We have 5 priority areas. So the theme of the IHP 9 is science for a water secure world in a changing environment. And we have 5 priority areas. And in each 5 priority areas, we have different thematic output identified to deliver the overall objective of the IHP 9. And we cannot do it alone. The Secretariat will not do it alone. The Secretariat is counting on the whole family, on the UN Water family, and also on all other partners, international organizations, NGOs, private sectors, all partners who are working on water. We will launch a call. We just launched a call this morning for the first part, the UNESCO Water family today, to request them to identify what are those areas of IHP 9 on which they want to lead, co-lead, or contribute to. So we are counting on the ICIReWaRD to identify some of the output on which they want to lead or co-lead within IHP 9. So, so I'm looking forward really for meaningful engagement with ICIReWaRD for the implementation of IHP 9. And we can count on IHP Secretariat to mobilize all the other partners. And also, if you need anything, don't hesitate really to contact us so that we can work closely together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abu, for this in-depth, or I would rather say, comprehensive view at the UNESCO Water family, at UNESCO's network, at the reach and scope of both the family and the network of centers. So I will let, of course, perhaps Abu react. I'll let, of course, Eric react, and I will just make sure that I can get his last, today's last presentation up on the screen. So give me just 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. We should almost be there. Just give me 5 seconds. And Eric, as always, you'll let me know when you can see your slides up on the screen. I think we have them.
Yes.
Okay, so you have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, here I just want to put on a few initiatives we have at the center. Some of them will probably give information to Abu regarding what he just said before. I will mention some research projects, education, our involvement in the Africa-France Summit that will be hosted in Montpellier at the beginning of October, and I will say a few words about ICI Scientific Assembly that the Center ICIReWaRD will organize in partnership with IHS. But I wanted here to, before everything, underscore the fact that most of these activities are currently funded by the University of Montpellier, so its project MUSE, Montpellier University of Excellence. This is important, and I wanted to mention it here. I will start by the research project, so please. First of all, in which conditions the center here in Montpellier, ICIReWaRD, in which conditions ICIReWaRD is able to fund and support research project. We have several requirements. First of all, we have to mobilize teams from several ICIReWaRD laboratories in order to promote interdisciplinarity, because it's probably the biggest asset of the Montpellier water sciences community. Then we also have to mobilize teams from the south to strengthen the partnership with the universities and the research centers in the south. We have an old, long-standing partnership with many universities and research centers in the south, and mainly in the Mediterranean basin and in Western and Central Africa, but we always need to strengthen this partnership. So this is the second very important point. Then the projects have to combine scientific research and make sure that they contribute to develop scientific networks, and probably in a very important way, I would say, South-South scientific networks. We also want to give our young colleagues their full place in the networks and projects, and mainly regarding our young African colleagues. They have to be members and parts of the project that want to be funded by the center. They also have to contribute to the roadmap given by UNESCO, and we was talking of this previously, which is develop partnerships on the African continent and to be an attractive center for the French-speaking world. And of course, we have to be in line with IHP's focus, as ICIReWaRD will provide the secretariat for the IHP Fund program. This Fund program is an old one in the IHP framework. Many of us here in Montpellier, we have been involved in the Fund program, and we are very much linked to this program. And so we want that the projects that we will support, we want them to be really in line with with IHP, and this is quite important, because the Fund program is a very, very important one with many contributions from many countries. So we will support the program, and we want him to be successful again for many, many years. So these several requirements are the main points we want when the team submit a project in order to get funding support from the center. This is important. I wanted to have these points very clear. Next, please. I will give you two examples of the project that we are supporting right now. The first Act Now. The objective of this project is to characterize and quantify the evolution of hydroclimatic regimes and the extremes. So we are precisely in the impact of climate change in Western Africa. The objective, the goal of this program, update all hydrological standards. This is a very, very important question. Everything is changing right now in Western and Central Africa regarding precipitations, regarding runoffs. And so it's very important to have a clear and updated vision of what happens. So the goals here are to create a reference database, to produce adapted indicators on trends, evolution of flows and low flows at several scales, to develop modeling approaches adapted to the simulation of global changes in water regions, This is very important if we want to have a good knowledge of water resources and to be able to have an adapted exploitation of this resource. And we also want to update the dimensioning norms for hydraulic, hydroagriculture, hydroelectric structure. This is quite important too. At the time being, in this project, the partnership is between ICIReWaRD teams, of course, but also all the universities, centers, teams involved in IHP Fund program for Western and Central Africa. So we have many teams involved in the program from several countries in Western and Central Africa. This project had been supported for the first phase, and we are very optimistic regarding the outputs of the program. Next, please. The other is quite different. The other is an involvement of the research teams of the laboratories of ICIReWaRD in the Mediterranean basin. The goal is, of course, to develop and strengthen collaborations, but around issues related to the reuse of treated wastewater, what we call the reuse. This is important as on the Mediterranean basin, we are facing the decline of water resources as the precipitations are going down. And we know that the Mediterranean basin will be a hotspot of climate change. We will probably be in very difficult situations in the coming years. So if we want to preserve the fresh water, we need to consider the use of treated wastewater. This is very important, and we have to develop something between the French teams and our colleagues from Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. This is what we are doing, collaborate with the UNESCO chair on methodological aspects, this UNESCO chair Mathematics and Development in the Maghreb. We also collaborate with another chair which is located in Montpellier. This one is involved in water treatment processes. We are putting through this action, through this project, we are putting together all the teams from France, from Montpellier, and from several universities and research centers in Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco together, and they learn to share knowledge and know-how, which is quite important too. And of course, we are promoting setting up training courses to have more people with ability to deal and to work regarding reuse of treated wastewaters. Next, please. Apart from research projects, we also have education projects, and I will give here an example. We are involved in the Africa-France Summit that will take place in Montpellier at the beginning of next October. And during this summit, the ICIReWaRD Center, in collaboration with the city of Montpellier, will organize an hackathon specifically dedicated to high school students from several countries in Africa and from Montpellier. This is very interesting, as we will be developing links between high schools from Africa and high schools from Montpellier, and so between high school students from Africa and high school students from Montpellier, which is quite nice. They will work on, and they will have to improve the situation in the field of health, and we know how this point is important regarding Africa, for instance. And you have here the following, the successive stages. It will start in September, and you have 4 main stages, and it should finish on October 9 with the best 3 teams that will pitch during the final in front of a high-level jury, in which we hope to have the President Macron, President of the French Republic. So I think it will be so important, and for the teams of high school students to have this speech in front of such high-level jury. I think it will be something very, very important. They will keep it in mind, and but this is the final. But all the work before will be very important, as they will have to think and to make proposals about this so specific and so important field that is water and health. Next point. A few words about Africa-France Summit, because it will be for us the opportunity to have several actions. First, we want to use the summit to highlight research project led by the center, by the teams, the teams of the center, and conducted in collaboration with teams from partner universities and research centers on the African continent. Another very important point is that we will take the opportunity of this summit to highlight young African scientists in our networks. And we want to organize a roundtable to give them the opportunity to express their vision of the future of water science in Africa and their place in this future. We also want to highlight the UNESCO chairs in West Africa working on the issue of water and women. This is a big issue regarding regarding Africa. And also we want to have something a bit different, more dealing with cultural issues, and we plan to open the door to some initiatives such as Water Museum. There is one, for instance, in Marrakesh. One is supposed to open in Tunisia and another one in France. So we would like to have not only scientific issues, but also cultural issues in with water. Next, please. And I will close by another initiative, another project on which we are working, which is the next ICI Scientific Assembly. This will be organized jointly by IHS and ICIReWaRD. This is very, very important. This scientific assembly of IHS takes place every 4 years. It will be organized in France for the first time. We will also have the opportunity to celebrate the 100th anniversary of IHS, which is something quite important. It will certainly be a very, very big event with many, many different projects and points. The scientific program is about to be validated in its final form and its final shape, and it will be open on everything will be open on the website, including the registration within a few days, or I would say 2 or 3 weeks at the latest. So this is important, as it's probably, it will be, not probably, it will be the first major scientific event organized by ICIReWaRD Center next June 2022. And you will have all more informations, next please, on the website that you have on this last slide, which is UNESCO Montpellier.org. All information about what I said and all information about this event regarding Scientific Assembly, ICIReWaRD Center. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's been wonderful to hear in a little bit more depth into the different initiatives, projects, activities, and the very vibrant activity that the center has already and is going to be developing in the coming months. Multi-stakeholder, interdisciplinary, so it has been very interesting, of course, to hear about FRIEND again. So it has been very, very interesting to hear from you. And I see now that we have approximately yeah, 4 minutes, 5 minutes to go. So perhaps what I would like to do is just check and see if we have any questions from the audience. So these should come through on the chat on Pathable. So I'm just going to take a look. And if not, I know that I've had a couple of questions by email.
So,
yes, please go ahead, Abu.
Adriana, sorry, I have to connect to another meeting because I have to open at 4 sharp another event.
No problem.
Sorry, yeah.
Thank you very much for your participation. And I think
thank you. Yeah.
Mind your call to action to the network of centers, including ICIReWaRD, to contribute to IHP 9 and so on. So
Exactly.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
Have us on board, both the center and the French Water Partnership. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Abu.
Thank you, Abu. Thank you very much. So let us just check if we have, in effect, any questions on Pathable. Let's see. So I don't see any. Yes, so it just wasn't quite active yet. So we do have a few questions. Just checking anything that might be directed at one of our panelists. Well, we have a question. I don't know if perhaps Eric would like to get into that or to give his views. We have a question from Monica Weber-Farr, who asks us, what is the difference between One Water and IWRM? Well, in terms of the different approach, I don't know if that's something that you'd like to give a couple of comments on. Otherwise,
quick comment. I think that One Water is an initiative in which you have much more than only the question of the water resources management. You also have the question about environment, about health, and so it's much more including that that only integrated water resources management. So there's quite a big difference between these two denominations.
Thank you. Yeah, Eric. Perhaps one question that I see, and we have just a couple of minutes to go. It's in French, but I can roughly translate it. So Mr. Mourad Chip, who's asking us, what is the best approach precisely to address this relationship between water and society at large? So I think this really calls to ICIReWaRD's interdisciplinary approach.
Yes, that's exactly that's what we think here in Montpellier. We think that the best way to address the water issues is to put around the table all the players, all the scientific players, of course, in the first time. So that's the reason why I was explaining before that we have as well hydrologists and chemists or geologists or biologists and even economists. So we need to have all the people, all the scientists together so that we can develop this interdisciplinary approach. But we also need to have interactions with all the other players, such as, for instance, the institutional ones, political ones, also businesses. We need to have everyone around the table to make sure that we are addressing in the right way these very important issues that we are facing with.
Thank you, Eric. Indeed, so I see that we are now at exactly 6 p.m. So we've managed to keep military track of time today. So I would suggest, I don't see any other sort of incoming questions. I don't know if in the room are there any other questions that we'd like to ask Eric. No, I think we're good to go. So then what I would say is I would like to thank you all very much for participating in today's session. So thank you all on behalf of course, the team at ICIReWaRD in Montpellier, at UNESCO IHP, and from us at the French Water Partnership. Thanks again, and we look forward to our continued cooperation. And we hope that today's session sort of gave you a little bit more insight into the center, its activities, its initiatives, its history as well. So thank you all.
Yeah, do not hesitate to contact us. You have the website address. And do not hesitate to get in touch with us if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer, of course, and to give more details about the center.
Thank you, Eric. Well noted. Thank you very much.